There's a pretty huge conversation happening in the gay community right now, initiated by Troye Sivan's song and music video titled One of Your Girls. I watched it and I've been watching some commentary, some interviews by Troye Sivan, and the song and music video are about basically hooking up with straight men and how at different points in his experience, like he would hook up with straight men and kind of like fall for them, but then also feel like this vast expanse of emptiness afterward. And being that I talk a lot about the epidemic of gay loneliness, I've talked about it in the past, I feel like this is a very huge segment of the epidemic of gay loneliness that is not discussed at all. And I think that it warrants some discussion. Now, P.S., I'm speaking about this from the perspective of a gay man. I do think that there are other segments of the LGBTQ plus community who can relate with this same phenomena as well, but I think largely this happens to a lot of gay men who probably grow up in rural areas where they don't have a lot of access to other gay men, so they like their only example of, you know, men to look to are other straight men. And oftentimes like there are great examples of straight men, but of course, kind of similar to my experience, not always the case. And I do remember when I was younger, even prior to coming out and after coming out, like I would often develop crushes on straight men. So straight men would either react one of two ways, one of three ways. One, they would be like, "Oh, ew, disgusting." Two, they'd be like, "Cool, that's great." Or three, they would, get a thrill out of knowing that someone was attracted to them, and they would kind of egg that on, or make the gay man the butt of the joke or the spectacle, at their expense. And for me, the third thing happened very often where at that point in my life when I was like 18 to 20, like I was really struggling to fit into the gay community. I had just gone to college and I really didn't fit like the bill of the attractiveness that a lot of gay men expected. And the truth is, we probably all struggled with that because we grew up thinking that these unattainable straight men were the ideal man that we would want. And then, of course, we would see, like, potentially, from time to time, certain straight men's toxic behaviors, not only toward us, but also, like, toward their girlfriends who, may have been our friends, so on and so forth. But I remember I at that time in my life I was just so starved for intimacy. Like I had never experienced intimacy in college. Like I've mentioned this before, like my first experience my first intimate experience was trauma when I eventually did experience something, and I really didn't feel any sense of wholesome intimacy until like years later, but that's besides the point. But like I do very distinctly remember straight men in my life who would just be fascinated by the discovery that I might find them attractive. And they would often ask about it and fixate on it. And sometimes they would, you know, pretend to like touch me or caress me or kiss me just to see what my reaction would be and then pull away, like if I ever developed some sort of, reaction or expressed any sort of reaction. And it was really traumatizing. Like it made it very difficult for me to want to feel any sort of intimacy with people at a certain point. Years of therapy had to unpack that. I still think sometimes it stays with me, and I think that a lot of there are a lot of straight men who do this to gay men. It is a very sad and concerning power dynamic. Not every straight man does this, but there are those who enjoy that power of being attractive to other men. Like they may not be attracted to men, but they enjoy the power that comes being attractive to someone else. You know. And there was a certain point in my life where I was so starved of intimacy where I would literally just let straight men do whatever they wanted to me, even if it made me the butt of the joke, even if it made me look like this, sad, depressed, gay, craving just someone to even look in my direction, right? And like listening to Troye Sivan talk about this, like, and being that he is a celebrity, like to me it suggests that this is such a universal experience for gay men beyond even like class, social class, right? Like this happens to a lot of gay men, especially when we don't have our own circles or communities to look through, to connect with. And I think that I'm going to continue having conversations about this. This is a very important thing to discuss, and there's so much to unpack with it. But let's just say that the epidemic of gay loneliness is multifaceted, and I would argue that this is one of its biggest tap roots that sustain it. So, anyway, share your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Click on like for the algorithm, and thank you so much for listening and watching. Have a good rest of your day.